everybody, this is Maria Kayetza here, and we're going to be doing a new thing on our channel, and this is kind of author-ish content, or if you're somebody who finds different softwares and how to use them kind of interesting, you might find some value in this. We are going to be formatting my book, Be Still My Undying Heart. And I do have a little bit of a confession. This is the second time I'm doing this. The first time I didn't record my screen correctly. I had been doing a window capture, and because it was a window capture, none of these little pop-ups showed up, so we're doing it again. I'm going to be doing this largely unedited, except for it did take me a couple hours to do this last time, so I will be probably pausing to take breaks at times, just so I can get up and stretch, because it did take me quite some time. But I want you to see everything that goes into this, including some of the bad stuff that will probably happen as we go along, because if something does go wrong on your end while you're going through, you need to know how to fix it. So this is just my way of, if something goes wrong while I'm doing it, hopefully it won't on your end, because I'll have shown you how to fix it in the first place. But if I do something wrong, then you can see how it gets fixed. Alright, so let's dive right in. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to head out to your layout tab, and you're going to change the size of your page. And this will depend on you, whether you use a 5x8 or an 8.5 by 5.5, or whatever book size you're planning on using. You're going to put your dimensions in here. Don't necessarily do exactly what I'm doing, because every genre has different kind of requirements. Let me just double check that I did in fact want a 5.5 by 8.5. I believe that's correct, but I'm trying to keep all of my books across the board consistent. Yes, that is correct. And when you're doing that, if you have already put anything into your document at this point, and I don't recommend doing that first, you should definitely do this step before anything else. Make sure it says whole document, otherwise you might run into some problems later on. Next, you're going to go into your margins, and in my case, I am going to keep my margins pretty much as is. My book has different requirements from some, because it's very short, and so the gutter doesn't have to be as large as some other books. But in all of my books so far, I have done 1-inch margins, and I have had no issues seeing anything on the page, and I think it looks fairly good and professional. So I'm going to stick with that, and we're going to, if you have Amazon, KDP is who you're doing your paperback with, you're going to want to check their style guide. Same with Ingram Spark. Check what they say for your size book, because the number of pages is going to help you decide what you need. And you might decide that you want to add extra space in there, and you're going to use different gutter sizes depending on that. And you will want to select, when you do that, you'll select mirror margins, and the gutter will end up being in the center of those, so that you don't have text going too deep into the crease of your book. And it's just for me, with the specs required of my book, I don't need to touch any of this personally. But yours might change depending on if you have a very long book, you might need to add a whole ½ inch in here to make your book look good. So we have our page set up, but before we get further in, we now want to set up all of these as best we can. And this part is very important. It's going to make your life a little bit easier going forward. And I'm going to do my best here to make mine the same as I have in my other books. So I'm going to kind of be moving back and forth between two documents here just so that I can have everything be consistent with my own formatting. So let me just open that up on one side so I can see what I have done previously really quick, and then we will get a good look at that on our actual screen in just a moment. Okay, I'm ready. So for our normal text, we're going to modify, and we're going to do 12 point, and I tend to use one font that I like, and you can do whatever you want with this, but this is the font that I like. And we're going to go into paragraph, and I have mine set to 1.3 with 0 points after. And for my indentation for my normal text, we're going to put this at 0.25, and that's going to be on the first line. Oops, I'm so sorry. I want my first line by 0.25. There we go. All right, so we have that set up. And then this one, I want to rename it. And I'm going to rename it first paragraph. And you'll see why shortly. And we're going to modify that. And I want it to be almost identical to what I did before. And we're not going to put any spacing, but we're going to do 0.13 or 1.3. Ooh, tried saying that one backwards, didn't I? That looks good to me. And for my headings, let me just double check what I have here. That's what I thought. Okay. For my headings, we're going to go in here, and we're going to use Cinzel Decorative 20 point. I want those centered, and I just want to make sure that there's not any of this in here. I want to double check these, so since I've got two documents open, let me just really quick open that on the other side. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. I don't have a lot of formatting on that one. I just kept it pretty simple, so we do need to remove some stuff. Okay. I believe those are the only ones I use fairly consistently, but let's just take a look. Oh, I did have one more that I used in my last book, so let me just double check on that. The other one I use is Laura at 20 point. And I do it in automatic. Some of these do have colors to them, so you may need to change those. I actually want to double check that my heading isn't in a color. We're going to remove this, and that, and all of this. This looks like it might be a color for some reason, and I just want everything automatic because it is going in a paperback book and it's going to be printed in black. So there's no point in having it be blue right now. All right, so I have all of my headings set up, and at the beginning here, it's going to be very fussy for a little bit, and then at a certain point, we'll get into a little bit of a rhythm. So on my books, as I have published them so far, my first page has always been an intentionally blank page. And then it has on the back of that intentionally blank page all of the books that I've written under this pen name. So that's what I'm going to do first, and you may think that we're about to hit enter a whole bunch of times. That's actually not what we want to do. We're going to, we're really doing this live apparently. Okay, we're going to go to page breaks. There we go, we just added a page, and we're already onto our second page, and we're going to use our heading. Ooh, I didn't set this to centered. Let me just go back to that really quick. There we go. And this page is a pretty quick and easy one usually for me. The first couple pages I will be hand typing, and then the rest of them I will more than likely be copying and pasting from my original document here. One thing I want to make you aware of is that when you are making your paperback document for your DocX, this is the document that you're going to also be putting into whatever you're using for your ebook formatting, and it's really important to try and avoid putting a whole bunch of full paragraph breaks, like if you hit enter a whole bunch of times. So I'm going to show you a couple of the little ways to add space without hitting enter a whole bunch of times. So right here, I do want to do something different than my normal text, and so I'm just going to kind of free flow here. We're going to do Laura, and it's a 12-point font, and we're going to take this piece out of indent, and we're going to center it. And the name of the series that I wrote before this was Now, I don't want these so close to each other, so I'm actually going to go into my paragraph section to work on it. And I'm going to highlight that. Oops. I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to right-click and hit paragraph so that I can get into this. And I've done this a lot, so I'm going to kind of make an educated guess that if I add 20 or 30 points here, it'll be about as much as I want it to be. And that's, sometimes it's just a little bit of trial and error. And I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to then hit enter. It's going to use that same format, and I'm okay with that in this case, but I'm not going to want that for the next one because I have written 2 books here. So you're going to see Heartless, and then as you see, there's a giant space there, which would be great if I wanted to leave a whole bunch of space between books in my series, but I really don't. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and write Okay, so why don't we write the second title in our series. And I really don't want that extra spacing, so let's just go ahead and remove it. Boom. Okay. Looks good. And then I want to do something that I do for my books. You don't have to do them for your books, but I personally think that it's a nice little touch. They aren't around in every single book though, so you don't have to put it there, but I like to have a half title page on my book. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to insert another page, and we're just going to do another heading right here. Be still, my undying heart. And in this case, I don't like how it ended up, so I'm actually going to separate those as 2 lines, just because I think it looks cleaner. My next page is the back of this page, so I'm going to intentionally keep it blank. So we're going to insert a page, insert another page. Now this one is going to be my title page. And I'm going to do it in the heading because this is the font that I want for this, but I'm going to end up changing the font sizes quite a bit, just because I don't want Be Still, My Undying Heart to be so small on my title page. All right, I'm gonna go look at my other copy here just to see what size I did everything as, because I want to try and keep it consistent. And we're gonna go with 48. And then at this point, I like to put a little image in there. You don't have to. This is your book. You can make it look however you like. And in this book, I decided not to do any pages with bleed, which is images that extend past the page and fill the page with your beautiful images. So we're not going to go over that now, and I don't know when I'm next going to do that. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can like drop a comment, and I can always do like a separate video that'll be much quicker on how to do that. But just in this video, it's not something we're going to get into. So there's 2 ways to insert an image. You can go to pictures, and you can browse your file explorer and find the image you want, or you can be like me and have your files open on the side over here, and you can just drag and drop them to where you want them. And you will see that this is a very large image, and we're going to change the size of that. I do want this centered though. There we go. I might change the size of that a little bit just to see if I can fit everything on a page nice and cleanly, but for right now I'm fairly happy with that. Oops. Alright, so let's go ahead and add our subtitle. And if you don't have a subtitle, that's okay. And this looks like it needs just a little bit of room to breathe. So why don't we, let's see. you know what? Actually, let's go in here and that way it has all the same room to breathe as everything else. And you'll see that it just adds a little bit of extra space from what you had seen before on those pages we had already made. All right, and then we're going to write one more heading, technically, and I really want my name on my own book, and this is way too small, so we're going to definitely be adding a little size to that. Let's go ahead and go for the 32 point. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of room down here at the bottom versus the top. So we have a little bit of space to play with. And I just want to make sure that those margins are all centered for certain, and it looks like they are. So I'm just going to add a little bit more spacing here just to give everything some room to breathe. And I think one of the reasons why it didn't just add a whole lot more, oops, well, that did it correctly. How about you? Okay, so this one seems to have more spacing than the others now for some reason. What happened here? It says it's the 25. Haha, okay, there we go. And then this should have a little spacing. Okay, and you can see that it's run over the side there, and I do want it to have a little bit less now, so why don't we try 15? There we go. And then the only other thing that I might want to try is adding just a little bit more down here. Let's try 15, and it does roll over. Okay, so let's see how, okay, so it goes, if I go like this, nope, okay. Get that centered again. All right, why don't we try just a little bit less space here? And I do like giving it a little bit of room to breathe here. So why don't we just scooch down that size a little bit. Try for 10. There we go. I'm pretty happy with how that looks, and I'm ready to move on to my next page. The next page is another one that's kind of fussy. So we're going to be on it for just a little bit. The next page is the copyright page, which is very important. And we're going to probably be hand typing quite a lot out on this page. Oh, you know what? I just realized that I forgot a step as part of my paragraph. I never set these to justified, which is definitely what I prefer to have. Hopefully none of these. Okay, good. So let me just double check that this is also set to justified. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go into the no spacing in this case. And I know with the size of everything on the copyright page, I actually need to bump this down from your typical 12-point font to a smaller font. So you're going to write the title of your book, you're going to write the word copyright, and you're either going to go into insert symbol and find the copyright symbol, or you're going to type in open parentheses C, close parentheses, and it will code it correctly for you. And then you're going to type out the year that your book was copyrighted or is releasing. And you're going to write your name or your pen name. Apparently I can't spell my pen name today. Here we're going to type out our rights reserved and all of that. Or actually, I might not type out the whole thing. I'm probably just going to go copy paste it, to be honest, because it's the same everywhere. Or at least in all of my books. Okay, and then if you're going to attribute your cover art to your artist, this is where you would do it. In this case, I actually made my cover art, which may or may not be a video one day in the future, to be honest. Cover art is not a skill I find myself particularly good at. I think that somebody more skilled would definitely be able to do the things that I do in much faster fashion than I do. But we are, you know, every one of us learns, every one of us does what we need to do. And in this case, I decided that I wanted to make my own cover, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Alright, so now we would list our ISBNs here. I'm probably going to do a whole thing on ISBNs one day, but in my case I decided that it was best for me to purchase my own ISBNs, and I use them on pretty much all of my books. One day I will share my nightmares with how I have completely messed up my ISBNs in the past, but I think that's going to be a completely different video or series on how I completely I just made poor choices and had to pay the price for having to fix all of that. So for this, not everybody uses all of them on one page. Some people will just put the paperback ISBN on the paperback. I'm lazy. I'm doing this once. And next is the part that I'm probably the most excited about. I started a business this year. So I actually, for the first time, get to put my own business information in my book. I really don't want that to be capitalized. There we go. And then I'm gonna just drag and drop my art here. And it's large, so we'll just keep sizing it down until, there we go. Let me see here. I want to give it a little space, and then I want to make it just a skosh smaller. Okay. I'm happy with that. My next page is going to be my dedication page. Excuse me a minute, I just need some liquid. Alright. My dedication pages are usually fairly simple, so this will be quick. All right, so how do I format a dedication page? Honestly, this is very simple. I try to just make it readable, one-liner, something that I'm going to not regret later on. I read one author who they wrote a dedication that made me feel uncomfortable as a reader, so I've just been trying to keep my dedications very simple ever since. Why didn't it do what I wanted it to do? It should have done what I wanted it to do, but why don't we... There we go. And I'm just going to try and get it a little lower on the page. I feel like it should be relatively centered. There we go. I'm fairly happy with that. And then here's another page break. And this one is going to be blank intentionally. So if you're following along at home, this is the front page on the right hand side, intentionally left blank. First page on the left, right, left, right, left, right, left, and then we're back to the right hand side of the page. And here we're going to do another one of these headings. This one is mostly just me being silly, I'm not gonna lie. This is not what I wanted. Ah, that's what I wanted. Font, strike through. Okay. A lot of the reading girlies on the internet love to joke about trigger warnings being a shopping list, so I just thought I would lean into the joke. And we're gonna go no spacing, and for this we're gonna center it. Alright, and I'm going to copy and paste this part just so that I don't have to type it all out for you. I don't think that's exactly the most breathtaking content, so let's see here. We're gonna add, actually, you know what? The no spacing needs to have a little bit of space ahead of it anyway. That was odd. Let me just double check that it didn't. Okay, it totally did. For this, we're just gonna go 0. Should fix all of that. Okay, perfect. Okay, that was a little odd. I feel like this didn't... Oh. You know what? I'm just gonna drag this in one more time. There we go. I knew that the spacing was a little off. Okay. And we're back over here, and just for the sake of expeditiousness, we're going to do that. And in the past, I didn't used to do trigger warnings in my books, and I kind of regret it. I feel like I have written content that probably needed to have trigger warnings in it at times, and I am trying to do my best to remedy that in the future. Alright, we're going to do one more intentionally blank page, and oops, you know what? I just made a mistake. Let's back up. Okay, we have the intentionally blank page that we're doing, and then we're actually going to be moving on to our actual content in our book. And the problem that I just created is that we need to do a section break here. Section breaks are very important going forward, especially if you want to put headers at the top of your book pages with your author name and either your title or your chapter names, and also with your page numbering. So section breaks are about to become your best friend. Use them often. And we're gonna do one more since it didn't create a new page there for us. So we have the end of our front matter here, and we're moving on to our actual chapters. And I'm going to be using a chapter header in a second, but first I want to insert my my images for chapter headers. So we're going to put that in there. And it's a little bit larger than I intend for it to be, but it's close. So we're just going to shrink it a little bit. And you know, you can do whatever size you want, really. I just wouldn't do like a whole page to the point where there's no words on your page. But other than that, you do what you need to do. This is your book. You wrote it. You get to make all of the choices, and if you're independently publishing, you can do whatever you want. This is all you. All right, so I'm decently happy with that. And then we're just going to go in and enter our header. And we're going to go into no spacing. No spacing is important because at the beginning of your chapters, you actually do not indent the first paragraph. So that first paragraph needs to have no spaces. In the past, I have done drop caps in my first paragraphs, and let me just point those out for you so that you know where to get to them. And I apologize because it has been a little while since I've done them, so I can't remember exactly where they go. Oh goodness gracious, I might have dug myself a hole that I can't get out of now. My friends, why am I like this? Okay, I was staring right at it and didn't notice it because I had no text in here. So if you want to insert a drop cap, you're going to go in here, dropped, and then you can do drop capped options. I do 3 lines typically, but you can make it smaller with 2 lines. But in these particular books for Maria Kayaza, I am not doing any drop caps. Instead, I'm doing my first line entirely in capital letters. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm just going to go ahead and start doing my copy and pasting for the body of my text. That first paragraph, you're going to want to do the no spacing, and then from there, you're going to do normal text, which will have the indents and no extra space between the chapter title and the actual text of your writing. And I will start showing you how to do page numbers and the headers on top of your pages in just a moment. If you are pasting from a master document, you are going to want to make sure that if you have any italices and you're going to be changing all of this to normal text, that your italices stay. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and it's really frustrating to me that it's so hit and miss. Okay, so I have my text in for my first chapter, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my page numbers and my headers. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into, there we go, header, footer, page number. As you can see, let me go in here. As you can see, those section breaks, you can see the numbers of them in your header and footer, and that's going to help you a lot going forward. So what we're going to do for the headers and footers and page numbers. In the past, I have done my page numbers in the bottom center, but in this particular book, I'm actually putting them on the upper right and upper left with the title and author name. So it just requires a little bit of extra work on my part. So just keep in mind that this title page starts on the right hand side of my page. So my first header should be on the left hand side of the following page. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to insert page numbers at the top of the page, and we're going to do just a plain simple number, and I will format it momentarily. As you can see, it's showing up everywhere, and we're not going to want that, so we're actually going to fix that in just a second. We're going to unlink it from previous, which will be important. We're going to unlink that from previous, and this has no previous, and we're just going to delete those. Should get rid of all of them going forward. Should delete this. This one we can't delete yet. Now, why is that? Because if I delete this, all of the page numbers in here at all are going to go away. But we can still fix this problem that we're having. First of all, I actually don't like having the main body font be the numbers, so I actually want to change that. And I want it to be just a little unassuming on the page, so we're going to go a little smaller. And we have these page numbers, and I actually want to format them. We're not continuing from previous section. We're going to start at, and we're going to start at the number 5. I believe it was 5 when I counted it. Let me double check. Most page numbers start from your dedication page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, perfect. So this should be page 6 then. Excellent. And then what we're going to do is we are going to, for the header, we want the first page to be different, and we want different odd and even pages. And it just deleted all of our page numbers, but we can still go back and fix that. So one more time, we're going to go enter that, and we're just going to edit it the way we wanted it. And as you can see with the different first page, it's over there, not there anymore. And then all of these, let's just double check that. These must have relinked each other. So let me edit the header, and we're not going to link it to previous, and there is no previous, and we're not going to link it to previous. Okay, one more time. And this is why I wanted to show you the entire process, because it can get a little bit frustrating and it's very fussy. So you need to see the whole thing to know how to troubleshoot it. So we've got our first page, and in theory we should be able to just delete this without affecting. Okay. We do not want to be linked to previous. Okay, there we go. And now over here, I want to add a little symbol, that little vertical piece. And I'm just going to double check my book here just to see what's supposed to be on the left-hand side. And it looks like it is the author name. And I just noticed that this is indented, and I don't want it indented. I want it as far over as it will let me. And then I'm going to do that the opposite on the other side. So we're going to move this way over there, and we're going to insert that little symbol, and we're going to do the title of the book. Ooh, I'll have to change that in a second. Let me just make sure that it all, okay, good. Okay, so we have our first chapter. As you can see, because we selected the first page being different, we have no page numbers on here. And because we were able to unlink from previous, there's no page numbers up here, which is what we want. And now we can move on going forward. But first things first for me, I want to make sure that all of my chapters are starting on the right-hand side. It's something that I like for my books, and so I'm going to actually pay attention to that as I'm going through. If that's not something you care about, then you can skip this part of the step. So this is on the right. As you can see, this would be on the left, right, left, and so the next page will be on the right. And once again, you're not going to page break, you're now going to section break as you go into the next page. To keep things consistent and less fussy, I'm just going to copy what I created up here, and I'm going to paste it right in our new chapter. And then I will type out. And from there, it's really a game of plug and play for the first, for the anticipated future. You're just going to make sure that those first paragraphs are this no spacing. And then you're going to have your following paragraphs be the normal so that it shows up just like this. And I just noticed something. Did you see the page numbers there? It's not numbering correctly. So this, we actually need to link to previous, and it already is. So we just need to format the page numbers, and we're going to say continue from previous section. There we go. That looks much better. I don't like how it did that. I don't know why it did that either. Let me see if I can view. Let me see if the outline helps at all. That does not help. Okay. Huh, okay. And it's not, it really wants to run it over for some reason. And I don't think I have any other parts that do that. Let's see if I have a way of fixing that. Okay. That's definitely not what we want. Okay, maybe it's in paragraph that what we're looking for. First line. We do have widow and orphan control on, which is what we want for sure. All right, I need another quick pause so I can figure this out for you all. Okay, so I played around with every single setting I could find on hyphenation, and my simple answer to this is just that it's not stupid if it works. And I just entered an extra space in there. It's not the answer I was hoping to find. I played around with hyphenation here, and I also looked at hyphenation in here, and it didn't make a difference. So with it not making a difference, I just simply decided that I would do it that way to solve the problem with as little stress as possible. And unfortunately, that's just kind of the way it is when it comes to formatting in a software that's not necessarily meant to format a book. So I am sorry I didn't have a solid answer for that, but also it's just one of those things that at least it was fairly quick to fix at the end of the day versus hunting for an answer and just not finding it, honestly. All right, let me just double check that, oh good, my italices stayed perfect. We're going to create a new section break. This page is on the right, so we actually need another section break, because we do want to keep page numbers off of those pages that are blank. And we're going to go into chapter 3. And into the no spacing. And we're gonna go back into the regular font and we'll get that in there. Okay. And just keep an eye on your page numbers. Make sure they continue to look like they're correct, that they're going up and they're not doing anything weird on you. I have caught those after the fact and they're very frustrating. Okay, this is ending on a left-handed page, so we're going to go ahead and do another section break, and we will be adding another chapter. I just want to keep an eye on which chapter I'm on because I've already kind of confused myself. So I want to open my directory, or whatever it's called, and I can never remember how to get to it any other way, so I'm just going to go and hit Control F so that I can search, and you can see that we have all of these different pages, and oh, interesting, so I've added some extra space that shouldn't be there actually. There we go. Oops, extra capital, there we go. All right, so this was on the left. We're good to add chapter 4. And once again, we're going to copy and paste, but hopefully without the extra spaces this time. Looks good. Ooh, that's all caps. And I wanted to do this as I don't remember the name of it, but the A with the 2 dots over it. That's not correct. Oh, that's because it's capitalized and I don't want the capital one. There we go. Okay, better. Go into our no spacing. Add that. Back to our normal text. And we're going to keep going. There are a lot of chapters in this book, so this might get a little repetitive fairly quickly for you, and I deeply apologize for that. It's not exactly the most fun sort of content to just watch a bunch of repetitive stuff. So I take absolutely no offense if you skip ahead to the next little section when we start moving on to the end matter of the book. We're gonna go copy this. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop any of them into the comments section, and I will do my best to answer them for you. I'm not always an expert on things, but I will do my best to get an answer for you if I can. Alright, that ended on the left again. Looks like we had a couple of chapters. Oh, no. I'm talking to myself now. Okay. Next chapter. Ooh. That looks like it has some extra space above it that we didn't need. There we go. Let's just double check that none of these other ones did that. Definitely a worry of mine that like one chapter sticks out from the rest of them because I messed up on it somehow. Okay, let's rename this. Okay, and I know that it's not super fun to keep double checking the location of what page you're on, but if that's what you're really wanting to do, then this is the best way to do it. And we're gonna do a couple of section breaks in this case. There are other softwares out there that make this much easier. I know the software called Vellum has been going around lately because some people have been accusing authors of using Vellum AI to write their books, but in truth, you have to have already created a document before Vellum can even format it for you. I've used Vellum frequently to format my books. It's one of the easiest ways to format a paperback and an ebook in one go. But not all authors can afford to have an Apple laptop and pay to have this one particular software. And that's just kind of it when it comes to being an indie author. You make those choices. Are you ready to pay a smaller amount to do the labor yourself, or are you willing to pay somebody or something else in order to do that work? And that's your choice as an author, depending on how you value your time and your money. This process can be either super cheap or super expensive, and it's all in what you put into it is what you're going to get. And here we go with another chapter. I think I'm on track right now. I suspect that my second take of this is actually going to end up a little longer than my first take. So I don't know why I did that. Woo, not what I wanted to do. That was odd. Let me just delete whatever extras are on this page. There we go. To make this clean and hopefully not do that again. And just, as you're scrolling through, make sure that nothing like that happens where you have one paragraph that looks odd compared to the rest. Some of them are very easy to catch, and others are a little bit more difficult. And again, just keep an eye on these headers, make sure that your page numbers still look correct. And another page break. And as we're doing this, can anybody tell me, are you a name your chapters person, or are you just a number your chapters person? This one is the first book that I have ever named my chapters for, so it's kind of odd to me to be naming my chapters. I kind of like it. It was fun trying to find a bunch of titles that would fit the theme I was going for. I don't know if I'll do it again, but I did enjoy it for this. I apologize for all of the pregnant pauses. I feel like I have been leaving a lot of dead air recently, and that is not my intention. As you might have seen in a couple of my other social media locations, I am ADHD and I am 100% hyperfixating on what I'm doing right now. Because bookishness it's my special interest. Like the end. This is my thing. I adore books and everything about the process, and I'm just so happy to be able to share it with other people. And we're on to, I honestly don't know what chapter we're at this point for me. And it could be that you have a whole bunch of short chapters like I do, or you could have a bunch of long chapters, or even just a few long chapters, and then you'll be done. Let me just point this out. If you were to have a chapter that has a page break in it, you want to draw attention to your page break by doing this, like create that space and make it so that there is no indent, so it shows that there's a visual break in your text. Some authors add a little piece of art in there that is in theme to the book. I've done that before, and I really like it too. So I would definitely say use this no spacing / first paragraph whenever you have a page break. That's something that you're gonna want to take care of and make sure that you can visually see that difference. Otherwise, try making it a different chapter, so that you definitely have that separation in there. Okay, we are getting close to the end for me, or at least I hope we are. I think we have about 15 chapters in my book, and I feel like we're getting close to that. Or at least I hope we are, for your sake, so you don't have to keep seeing me format chapter after chapter after chapter. Yeah, we're getting towards the end. I probably have 3 or 4 chapters left. Back into the normal text. Remember to go back into your normal text, otherwise it's going to look like one giant run-on paragraph over and over again. Oop, and you can see there's a little bit of extra text in there, and we're just going to hit delete until it goes away. And into a section break. We're on the wrong side still. And go copy. Whoop! Whoa! Don't be afraid to use the undo button. Please, don't be afraid. It is so useful. I can't tell you how often I use the undo button. It is probably my most used button on Microsoft Word or any other formatting tool or software tool. I use undo on Canva all the time. It's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes are fixable. And then you'll learn. And I would hope to say that learning is forever, but with how often I end up formatting books lately, I will forget by the next time I do this. Alright, we are probably 2 chapters out at this point. I think the next one is Boogeyman. Yep. I've recently been going through this document again, even though I've been done with it for a little over a month, because my narrator has been recording it so that we can have an audiobook. And I actually found a couple of mistakes that I made the first time, and I was so very grateful. I'm so sorry if you can hear the helicopter. You probably do. It's probably a military one, honestly. I was saying something. I was so very grateful that I had the opportunity to read back through this one more time as my narrator was working on my book, because I caught a couple things where, like, I didn't notice italices hadn't made it in, and I really like to have those in for certain instances of my book. And this is, as you can see, the longest chapter in my book so far. And here is our final chapter. And into the no spacing. and into the normal. Alright, so we are ending this on the right side of our page, and I want an intentionally blank page. And so now we're moving on to our acknowledgements. And for our acknowledgements, I'm using the same header as I have been. And we're going to go into no spacing for this bit. And I wrote a pretty shockingly long acknowledgements page for someone who's never written acknowledgements before, but I had fun, so I'm going to leave these up here for just a minute. I'm going to remove them, but I want to keep track of what side my pages are on for a minute longer. And we're going to go into a page break for this, because we're on the right. And perfect. And then one more time, I need this because I decided to keep a deleted scene in the book, just not as part of the main text, because it didn't drive the story forward in any way. It was just a fun scene. And it's kind of like a little outtake from the story that didn't quite fit into the story. This scene in particular is absolutely my favorite. And notice how I'm doing page breaks now, because we're not going to have the headers up here anymore. Okay. And this is the last page that I'm going to put anything on. The next page will be intentionally blank. And we're going to do that. And we're going to go no spacing. And we will copy that. And from there, I want a little bit of space here. Oh, a little more. Okay. Ooh, why is that so strange? Okay. For some reason it registered as a separate paragraph. So to add the links, which you don't have to do on Paperback, but will become useful when you're doing ebook later, you're going to right click and you're going to either add or edit hyperlink, and you'll just paste the hyperlink in the text how you want it in there. But in this case, because this is going to be a print book, we're just going to leave it just like that. And then finally, we're going to do one more intentional page break. That's just going to be a blank page, so that this will be on the right and the back will be blank. And then we're going to go in here and remove these. First of all, we're going to unlink to previous, and this little section here should all be section 25 through the acknowledgements, and then you see section 24. So if we go into here and, whoops, we delete it, and we delete that, it shouldn't affect the rest of the book, and it did for some reason. Ah, I know why it did. And this is why we are going to liberally use our undo button. Okay, so we're unlinking to previous, and I want to unlink to previous, and we're going to have both of those gone, and that should still be there, and that should still be there. Excellent. And then these should all be blank going forward, and it looks like they all are. Perfection. All right. That is the end of our little tutorial. We will be doing a ebook conversion using something called Caliper. It's a free software. Just so you know, when we get to that, I'm not going to be teaching anybody how to do HTML or CSS. It's not something I'm an expert in. I'm just going to show you how to format the book in Caliper. So if that's not something that you're familiar with and you want to be able to follow along, I would highly recommend going onto an online resource on how to learn how to code. Something like Codecademy would be really helpful with some very basics to learn how to do it. Other than that, we are done here, and I hope you found some value in this, and I wish you luck on your authoring journey, and may your paperback be beautiful. Ta-ta!